welcome to another episode of this Badass Media Productions Season 4. So in this episode I'm going to be looking at possibly the best incarnation we've seen of the Harvey Dent and Two-Face story arc. The best visual kind of representation of this story arc. Now, before I go into this, I'm just going to say that a lot of people kind of misunderstand Two-Face as a character. A lot of people assume that Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face because he's scarred on one side of his face. That is never the case. Harvey Dent has always been a damaged character, and the scarring on his face, it amplifies his darker side. Hence why he doesn't want surgery, because the darker side of him is embracing his scarred side. And a lot of people kind of don't understand that. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the live action versions of Two-Face we got in the past. So we got a very brief glimpse of Harvey Dent in Batman 1989, in which he's going for DA, and it's not really touched into that much. It's very briefly touched into, and then of course we see him again as fully Two-Face in Batman Forever, of course played by Tommy Lee Jones, and of course we see him as a criminal, kind of a gangster, and we see that he's very much the damaged character who flips a coin to decide his victim's fate. We don't really see much of Harvey's past. We see a glimpse of how he got scarred, and we do see just like one line of dialogue suggesting that he had a relationship with Bruce Wayne. I think the line goes, "You've always been a good friend, Bruce." But we don't really see the split persona of both Harvey Dent and Two-Face. Now, The Dark Knight, that done a way better version of doing both Harvey Dent and Two-Face. We see Harvey Dent as this genuine good man who wants to bring down all the corruption in Gotham, and he does that. He succeeds in doing that. But we see the tremendous amount of stress this takes on him as a character, and we do see glimpses of his dark side. And then of course we do get the Two-Face kind of reveal towards the third act of the film. The problem is it does feel a little rushed. I wish they kind of explored it a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to be looking at the Batman animated series back in the 90s and how they explored the Harvey Dent and Two-Face story arc. And now I believe the two-part episode was called Two-Face, and Harvey Dent is very much a main kind of character in the first part of this episode. Now, from the get-go, we see that good Harvey is having these tremendous nightmares over his alter ego, Big Bad Harv. This being is his darker side, his more arrogant side, his maybe a bigger being, a bigger alter ego to himself. And we see this does take its toll on him. We see that Harvey is under a tremendous amount of stress. He's been trying to take down a gangster known as Rupert Thorne, and we see he's also trying to go for public office. And these two factors are really affecting him, and they're affecting him to a great extent. We see him losing his nerve in front of the press and reporters, and we get a little glimpse of his darker side. And we see this happen quite a few times during the episode. So as good Harvey, we see this guy who wants to do good. He wants to save Gotham, and he wants to control himself as much as possible. He knows of his anger, he knows how bad he can become, when rather than embracing his dark side, he chooses to fight it as hard as he can, which is really, really interesting. We also see that Bruce Wayne and Harvey Dent have a great relationship, and it's handled really well. We see that Bruce Wayne is sponsoring Harvey Dent into public office. We see that Bruce Wayne shows genuine concern for Harvey when he has these little outbursts. We see this when he's talking to Grace, Harvey Dent's his girlfriend and fiancée. It's just really well done. Seeing this relationship between Bruce Wayne and Harvey, it's done really well. Even if it's just brief lines of dialogue here and there, we get a sense that these two characters have a sense of history, which is really well done. Seeing Harvey Dent seek help for this in the form of a doctor was a great scene. It really shows you that Big Bad Harv is very much in control. He's just hidden under the skin, and it's just so interesting seeing that scene, seeing that he can be driven out very easily if he wants to. So later in the episode, we discover that Rupert Thorne discovers of the big bad Harvey, and he seeks to blackmail him. And in this, we do truly get the big bad Harv, and he's very much an intimidating character, a character who wants to get whatever he wants. He's very much a terrifying character who really brings a lot of fear into Rupert Thorne. And of course, Big Bad Harv, he chases after Rupert Thorne, and of course the scarring event happens, which leaves him, of course, becoming Two-Face. And it's just really well done. And then in the second episode, we get this wonderful revenge arc. So we get this idea that Harvey Dent isn't an instant villain. It's a revenge arc against Rupert Thorne. He wants to destroy him. He wants to bring down all his criminal organizations, and then he wants to build up information to actually take down Rupert Thorne. So he's not completely evil. There is this kind of a dark, kind of vigilante type side to him, but he's also bending himself towards the dark side, which is really interesting. We also see that Batman Bruce Wayne, he's very much haunted over the fact that he couldn't save his friend, which makes for a really interesting relationship between the two iconic characters. It's interesting, in the second part of the episode, we really do see him battling his good, bad side. We see that he very much wants to go back to Grace. He wants to fall in love with her again, and he wants to get married and live a normal life. But Big Harvey is too much of a bigger personality for him to handle. And this is explored very well. We also see that the coin is very much how he decides his fate and the fate of others, and he relies on it so much more when he becomes Big Bad Harv. At the end of the episode, when we see that the fate of the coin is corrupted and lost, and seeing him slowly break down over the idea of fate and choice and not knowing the outcome is incredibly interesting, and shows you how damaged a character both Big Bad Harv, Harvey Dent, and of course Two-Face is. And it was done just extremely well, and I feel no other interpretation has really gotten that kind of arc of both Harvey Dent and Two-Face as well. That's my opinion on Batman the Animated Series. How do you feel about the Harvey Dent Two-Face story arc? Have you explored Batman the Animated Series? Put your comments in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to the channel if you like what you see.